By the end of this review of Barbarian 2022, will any of us know why it was called Barbarian? What's up, everyone? I am Wink.
And I'm Skillz.
And this is Scream Cheese. Today we're going to talk about Barbarian, written and directed by Zach Cregger, and starring Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and Justin Long. All right, what'd you think about this movie, man?
I really liked it, man. I thought it was really good. There was a lot of things about it that I really enjoyed. But before I give you those little nuggets of wisdom, Wink.
Yes.
What did you think of it? I'm gonna pass the question back to you.
Okay, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Unfortunately, I liked it more the less I knew. This felt like, to me, one of those movies, and this often happens with horror movies, where the less I know and the more I'm allowed to imagine, the better the movie is. I definitely enjoyed it, but it definitely spun out into the ending. I felt like this movie happens in weird acts. I feel like it gives a little build up. It's almost like its own little story, and then it kind of concludes, and then as we get into the next act, we kind of are given the next part of the story. In the beginning, we built up this thing, and it's like, ooh, this is getting good. And then we built up this new thing, and I'm like, oh, this is getting really good. And then we're getting kind of the reveal of everything that we've built, and I'm like, oh man, this is not as good as I thought it was. And then we kind of rebuild once more, and I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued. We're doing something new again this late in the film. And then just to kind of literally kind of abandon it. And I guess for me, it was kind of a disappointing ending. I think that it had a lot of promise, and I definitely enjoyed the journey. I thought it was really well directed. I thought it was a really interesting script. There were a couple of really uncomfortable things that I think, as far as the horror, was really cool. If I only saw the ending, I'd give it a terrible score. If I only saw the beginning, I would give it a really high score, and it would fall somewhere in between for me because of that. It is a standout for horror, though. I think it's really interesting and really valuable. So fill me out on what you were thinking about it.
So first of all, I think that it was very well executed. And like you said, the script, it was solid, man. Every moment of the film, I was engaged. I was interested in what was going on. They did do something where there's major shifts, which I appreciated, believe it or not, because when the main character shows up to the house and she's interacting with the man that's at the house, all of that is kind of normal. It made sense as far as she would be apprehensive towards him, and they have to kind of get comfortable with each other. It was very basic, but it was interesting. And then about maybe 50 minutes in, what I thought was going to be the story, we're going to keep progressing, they completely shift to a different point of view. And here's the thing. I'm seeing people saying stuff like this is the greatest horror film of 2022.
Oh, I didn't know people were saying this.
Yeah, people are saying that. And the thing is, I think it's a really good film. But it's also the very basic story that isn't all that satisfying. And on top of it, the ending was definitely fun, but it was also typical. Okay, there's no big revelations. There's nothing where we're gonna leave this film and just have this emotion inside of us where we keep thinking about it. It's just a very basic, almost B film ending. So at the end of I guess the first act, where we see the villain or the monster or whatever, that was cool. And then we shift and we get into something else that's kind of cool. Well, when it all comes together at the end, it was kind of okay, well, so there's nothing bigger. There's no point, or there's no scare or something that's gonna make us walk away from this film being kind of haunted for a little bit. You're not gonna give us any big twist or anything cool at the end. So I don't know.
So one of the things that does kind of bother me about it, they did explain where the antagonist comes from, and it doesn't work. Mathematically, there's not enough years for it to work. I don't know why they tried to give that explanation. It's impossible.
To me, it was a fun movie, but there was major gaps in logic throughout the entire film. And they weren't enough to pull me out of the fun of the film. There was cool moments with the villain, but there was also moments where I'm this is kind of bordering I don't want to say corny, but I almost don't buy this. And I also almost don't buy the fact that nobody can help these main characters. Nobody. I love the idea of in a horror film that you isolate the main characters and you take away all options of like safety and help. And again, the film was executed well. The acting was great. You know, I bought into all of that, but I just kind of felt like there was just so many, like the stars would have to align perfectly for this main character to not get help.
Yeah, I felt similar about that. When I knew we were going to the police for help, I just knew that they weren't going to be any help or they wouldn't take the characters seriously. If this were real life, you'd be able to like literally say, hey, listen, my name is this. I'm here for this reason. I got this place as an Airbnb. This is what's going on. But instead, it's like, I'm going to get the police and give the smallest amount of information possible, the most necessary information, but I'm not going to give any context. It's believable if those are the only words you can say. But in the real world, there's so much more you can say.
This is 2022. She's an attractive young lady. Trust me, she's got a Facebook. She's got an Instagram. She's got a Twitter.
She has standing. She has like societal standing somehow, you know?
Yeah, and she's involved in like film production and stuff. Like this isn't a film that's taking place in like 1960, you know? It was just hard to accept all that.
The biggest way they did succeed in this movie is until we know exactly what's going on, they do have you wondering who is the bad guy here? What is going on?
Absolutely. So dude, they should give Justin Long a fucking Oscar, dude. He was amazing in this film. Not only was his acting on point, but his character was so interesting because I feel like, and it wasn't done to perfection, but I feel like throughout the film, it started with this accusation against him. And you didn't know, like, is this a false accusation or is he like a bad guy? And then the way that developed, I feel like his arc, his character within like the context of a horror film, I thought he was awesome, dude. He was my favorite part of the film.
So I would agree with you. I think that his performance was awesome. Dude, honestly, when he came on screen, I was like, oh, I wasn't aware of how much I do like this guy. I was like so happy that like...
Well, he's in your favorite film, Jeepers Creepers, dude.
Right, exactly. No, but I will say though that I thought it was a little on the nose how much they were trying to justify why he was maybe a bad guy. It was not him, it was the writing. Dude, he's a really likable guy. Here I am going like, they are through writing trying to morally bankrupt this guy, and man, I just still like him, you know? They're trying real hard to destroy this guy, and maybe it was good casting in that, like, maybe they did want to make it so that, like, you weren't sure, you know? But I think in the end, we kind of were kind of sure about his character, and I think it's if not personally relatable, it is humanly relatable, you know, that like people are complex and they can be good and bad and who knows. But Skillz, I think the most important thing we have to figure out is why was it called Barbarian? Like, I just don't understand. I have no idea why.
That's my biggest negative with the film. That is a very bold title. That's almost like me calling a film like Hippopotamus, and there's nothing in the film that connects to that title, and it's like, okay, like, why did you call it that? Like, there should be some type of theme, even if there was a random shot with like a character looking at a hippopotamus or whatever, right? It has some meaning to him. But I know people will probably point out things to us in the comment section about why it's called Barbarian, but to me, just like the initial reaction, I don't like that title for it, and that kind of led me to believe going into the film that other things were going to happen.
I'm just trying to think, like, there is no like true barbarian. We're not like looking at like Conan.
I didn't see Arnold Schwarzenegger one time in the film, so.
No, but like, I guess I'm thinking like the nature of barbarians and what is barbaric, but like, God, I still think there are better.
That's such a broad, like,
there's like better synonyms for
exactly,
barbarian, dude. Or barbaric. Dude, when we first started, before we like actually were ready to record, I guess we did record it. I can almost maybe just insert the conversation right here we had about the title. I'm just gonna do that. By the end of this review, will any of us know why Barbarian 2022 was called Barbarian?
Dude, I love that because I was thinking the same thing. There's nothing in the film that I don't understand the name. Maybe we should Google it. Remember we're
No, I don't want to Google it. It's their fucking fault, okay?
Okay, I was gonna say because it could be the kind of thing where we Google it afterwards and there was like this crystal clear explanation.
I don't care, dude. I've thought about that and I don't care a single shred. All right, like I will look it up after the fact, and anyone in the comments can tell us how we're idiots. But like the fact of the matter is, I'm of halfway decent intelligence here, and it went over my head. Yeah, half or a quarter. honestly. And it went over my head. What do you give this movie out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 6.5 just because it was a very enjoyable ride and I had a good theater experience, unlike you. So I'll give it a 6.5.
I want to give it a 6.5 as well, man. You know what? F it. 6.5. Anyway, let us know what you thought of Barbarian. Do you know why it was called Barbarian? Are we just idiots and didn't get it? Also, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel. We're almost at 200 subscribers, which is like
we've been at 198 for 6 months now. Come on, guys.
But also suggest any horror movies that we should check out in the comment section below. And Skillz and I will see you soon. Peace out, cheesers.
Peace.